kid in the 80s.
Welcome back, 80s allies. It's Larry, it's Jim, it's Larry. Of course, we're also going to have Adrian, who's here with us today, to do a mighty interesting review. We've got a show for you today.
Yeah, it's a pretty packed show. First of all, to all of our new subscribers that we've picked up since the last show, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Had a lot of people very fascinated by our take on Masters of the Universe Revelations.
Yeah, from what I understand, we hit on both polls. One, we're really positive about it. Some questionable. Check out the comment section. We're not getting into it.
It was.
Jeez.
We irritated somebody. That's for
No,
sure.
we definitely did. But we are so grateful that you're here with us again because we went on a field trip.
We sure did. We actually got the chance to go to Toys for the Ages, which was a convention, a toy show here in Carlisle. And as a matter of fact, it's right around the corner, if you will, from the studio. Had a great time. It was on a Saturday morning. It was just a one-day show. And, for those of you that are outside of the area, we wanted to, or perhaps, on the other side of the country, wherever you happen to be, we realize that sometimes a one-day show in particular is hard to get to. But we got there, and we're going to show you how we enjoyed the show. Allies, we're here at Toys for the Ages Expo in Carlisle. We're going to take you all around it.
I'm here too! Hi, Jim! Buy me! What are you filming me for?
I'm not buying that. I already have one.
No, I'm the one talking. Hey, leave me alone.
Good Lord. Moving on.
I gotta put it back so I don't have to buy it.
Great, Larry. We're seeing a major uptick in girls' toys being shown at conventions, which is always a good thing. Anything that adds more to collecting, I'm happy about. And here we are, Eternity of Dreams major setup. They're all the way at the front of the aisle. All the way down to here, and as you can probably hear, they're doing door prize giveaways based on the number on your arm.
Back up!
Well, I'm trying. There's no room.
This is what it's like to film in a shoebox. Boy, they let you out of the house today.
Yeah, I got out on good behavior.
Harley Quinn's here! Hi, Harley!
Okay, we are at what has got to be the coolest booth of the day, because I've never seen anything like this before. Check this out. Venom has never been cuter. Never. Castle Grayskull. Look at the size of this thing compared to my hand, and I've got a big hand. You can see that. This is incredible. Got Stay Puft
Marshmallow Man.
Stay Puft. This is really great stuff. How long have you been doing this?
Well, first off, who are you?
Okay, what is that?
Jennifer. I guess I've been doing it about 4 years.
Where can Where can our viewers find you?
I'm currently working on getting a business page, but you can find me on Facebook just under Jennifer Quelch for the time being.
There you go.
There you go. Next to the tatted toy guy.
Wait, are you telling me you don't even remember where the toy was?
Not at all.
Oh. Okay.
That's half the fun.
Oh, God.
Look at all these wonderful people. And we're all celebrating the same thing.
Yes. But we're celebrating you trying to find a damn toy, which apparently...
Hey, that's enough out of you.
Oh. Here they are.
We're going to head down to their store, give them a nice overview, but as you can see, they can sell them candy.
Now, this is for the... I will correct you. This is for the Candy Unicornium.
Oh.
As a matter of fact, there's the sign. Isn't that wonderful? You can actually smell the sweetness coming out of this booth.
Well, we can. We don't know if the...
Well, no, I don't.
If we were here, that's pretty impressive. Yeah. If you can get smell-o-vision on your phone, then geez. Dude.
I am not using a phone. I am using a nice little camera here with this gimbal and everything, and you just ratted me out that I'm using a phone? Seriously?
No. I mean, when people watch it on their phone.
Just get this response.
That's his resting face. The Tatted Toy Guys, everybody. The Tatted Toy Guys. Well, we had a lot of fun here today at the Toy Expo, and as you can see, we've got more coming up. The passing to toyexpo.com. It's been thrilling. Our pockets are a little lighter, but our hearts are full. I mean, as you can see with our purchases, Jim is going to make one more lap, but I need to leave before I end up sleeping in the front yard. So, on behalf of the 80s Allies, we'll see you next time.
And we're back, and boy, we had a really good time. Are you all right? Why did you hold that pose for the last 6 minutes?
Because I didn't want to drop the frame.
Oh, okay. Well, in any case, folks, we're back, and we've got our plunder from the show here.
You could call it that, yes. Some of it plunder, some of it actually legitimate gold, like what you have over there to your far left.
Yes. I'll get to that. This little guy here, the little screaming Mimi wind-up from Mad Balls, I just had to have.
Oh, would you look at that?
Isn't that cute? But I think the winner here for me was this. This is from Jennifer Quelch, what is the name here? My Little Plushies.
That's a fabulous name.
She creates these, as you saw in the video, she creates these from scratch. And, Slimer's great, and he comes with, look at this little guy here. Comes with a little... Certificate of authenticity. And all of her products do. I have some close-up footage where I'll show. I can interject here so you guys can get a closer look at that. But yeah, she, of all the booths we saw there, this was something that really stuck out to us. She's a really cool girl. If you have the chance, add her on Facebook. She does a lot of stuff. You saw a good bit of the product. I know that the huge gray skull that she had created did sell that day.
Oh, did it?
It sold shortly after we walked away from her table. So she did pretty well for herself at the show, and I'm hoping that means good things for her because she was a really cool person.
Yeah, we saw, it's amazing what somebody can do with crocheting technology these days. I mean, just sitting there and doing the thing. I mean, I don't have the patience for it. I've got really big, weird hands, and I'm surprised that I can actually put together blocks. You
got another set too. You got a Lego set that was the Avengers, which we showed on the video. But this we didn't get a lot of footage of. This is one of the sets that are being sold at Dollar General, and I apologize, we don't know the MSRP on these things. He bought it on the secondary market. And although you haven't applied the stickers, we can see that that's the Hiss tank from G.I. Joe.
Well, it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
This product was made by Forever Clever. It was released by Hasbro, I believe, is the maker of G.I. Joe.
Yes.
So it was released by Hasbro. So I was expecting big things. But we're going to find out exactly what those things are right now. The Cobra Hiss tank. The iconic piece of Cobra Arsenal. Look at it. Look at the Cobra Hiss tank. Introduced by Play School in 1983, this icon has been across shelves and in toy boxes for years. And it gave birth to this. Well, it says it's a Cobra Hiss tank. They declare it's a Cobra Hiss tank. Kind of looks like a Cobra Hiss tank. And the box is G.I. Joe. It's a Cobra Hiss tank, I suppose. I mean, it's got the shape. But when I had a conversation with Alan at Attorney of Dreams, I kind of discovered something I really didn't want to.
Well, Alan, I've had a good day here at the toy show. I think I'm gonna go home now. Well, that's cool. Looks like you got some goodies. What are you walking away with? Oh, I found this G.I. Joe Hiss tank for only $25, but I managed to talk him down to 20. Oh, I'm familiar with that line. Yeah, you can buy that at Dollar General. Can I help you?
Dollar General? I know what kind of quality I'll get down at Dollar General, so I had to see for it myself. Well, it's got directions, but if you're not knowledgeable in directions, like have an engineering degree, this is not going to be a pleasant experience for you. It's one thing I like about Lego. Everything they do, step by step, and there's a page for it to show you where it's supposed to look like. And they encourage you to separate your blocks. Mega Constructs, even on their smallest set, has detailed step-by-step directions of where everything's supposed to go. This is a mishmash of black and gray. And there's no direction on how to put together the action figure. How am I supposed to put together the action figure? Lego shows you what direction to put everything in. And Mega Constructs gives you the full-blown anatomy of He-Man. I then noticed how easily the blocks fit together. That took no time at all, no press, they were just simply guided in. Even Lego had a little bit more of a firmer grip than those bricks. As you can see on this Batman set that I was putting together. Firm, snug, to the point. Mega Constructs is notorious for things not fitting in the right spot. In fact, you have to be pinpoint or your piece is going to pop out like this. So you can imagine my amazement when I get down to the final piece and I put it on like so, and like I put it on like so. You knew you were in trouble when the oil of your thumb sticks to the piece and it pops off. Unless they were selling this as battle damage. But even then, that's kind of hard to believe. And the treads, you really need vice grips to get the treads to work. The other thing you'll notice is how flimsy the cannons are. I mean, they don't clear, they aren't stable, and there's no hole for another character like the original. Speaking of the character, he doesn't fit in the cockpit. Nothing. You see that? Nothing. But if you flip him in a certain way, he does fit. So I decided to experiment with this on my own. As you can see, totally didn't work. What I did realize is if you remove the arms off of the character, you then can fit him snugly in the cockpit. Though I was kind of curious to see what would happen if you drove without arms. So I tried it myself.
Nope, 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 nope. Now, all things considered, considering it doesn't want to shut all the way, it's small, it's quaint, it does have issues. I mean, if you are an experienced block builder, this is ridiculous. I mean, you shouldn't really, that's inconsequential. But it looks like a his tank. It has the tracks of a his tank. It kind of rolls like a his tank, or the original one. But is it worth 20 bucks? If you plan on having this sit on your shelf, or having a young child play with it, yes, totally worth 20 bucks. Do you need one? Not necessarily unless you're actively looking for one. I mean, from what I could tell, the characters don't really match the size of the vehicle. I mean, if we do a comparison to the other one, which we're not going to. So, it is worth $20, but I do want buyer beware. The action figure doesn't really sit like he should drive. There's no real place for him to sit because the old one has the turret, and it is what it is. It's on sale at Big Lots, Dollar General, and retail stores like that. That should let you know something. I would have preferred a higher quality because I would have paid a few extra bucks for it. But what are you gonna do? You get what you get, and for 20 bucks, yeah, why not?
I was very, very saddened to see that you have to disconnect the arms of the figure to get it to go in the cockpit.
It's disappointing. I mean, if you're looking for a shelf piece, this is your premier shelf piece, because you know you can hand it to an 8-year-old and they can damage it and do the thing, but come on, I mean, the stability of it isn't exactly where you want to be. You have to really push down to get the tread to roll. It does come with a nice little guide. There's many more sets, but if you're looking for something on the cheap, this is the way to go. But
don't buy it in the secondary market and pay extra for it.
Yeah, don't do that.
Certainly if you're going to open it anyway.
Oh, yeah, if you're going to open it and play with it. The eBay market is booming on this because people don't really have hands-on with it. But as soon as you get hands-on, you can see how flimsy and why it belongs in Dollar General.
You were showing me when you first got here, there's a piece that just won't...
Oh, yeah. And I showed it in the video, too, but just to demonstrate what I'm talking about. You know, that's just poor craftsmanship.
That's really sad because they mention on the packaging and on all of their relevant brouhaha that it is compatible with building sets like Lego, but with build quality like that, and I use the term quality loosely, I don't know that I'd want to intermix those parts whatsoever.
Well, it is, and what I'm noticing, because I've built so many of these sets, they could have fixed this with some angled pieces. For example, if you open it up and you put an angled piece there, this would secure this piece in because it's also, you know, focused on that. But as you could tell by the video, there are other better blocks out there. I was coming from putting together mega blocks and going into this. It was great that I didn't need to use like bear traps and a hammer to put this together. But there you go. So buyer beware. We did the review. You know what you're purchasing now.
Yeah, and you know, speaking of things where the buyer should beware, there are certain things that in my field as a barber, that's what I do during the day, folks, and sometimes people are ill-advised in the things they come in and ask for, and I think this next spot with Adrian kind of highlights that, if you will. A haircut making a return that, I don't know about this. What do you think?
I think we should go to the film.
Really? Aren't you going to do the whole Yo Adrian thing?
Yo Adrian! Go to the film.
What's up, allies? You know, one of the things that I can tell you as a barber is that a lot of things come and go in terms of styles. And one of the things that is making a comeback
Is the bowl cut?
no,
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
But the bowl cut was innovative. I mean, everybody in the 90s had a bowl cut.
Nobody likes the bowl cut.
You know something else that nobody really liked and for whatever reason is making a comeback?
Dreadlocks.
No, not dreadlocks. Not dreadlocks. No, what I was talking about is the mullet. The mullet is making a comeback.
What are you talking about? What? Party in the back, business in the front. It's like the El Camino of haircuts. Like, what are you talking about?
I wanted an El Camino.
But you know what? Since we're all here, I think what we need is an over-the-top with Adrian regarding the mullet. What do you think, Larry?
I don't think that's a good idea.
I think that's a phenomenal idea. But who can we get to do this? Who do we know?
You mean they could play the opposite?
I don't know. Wait a minute. See, I don't like when you guys do that.
I got it.
Oh, you do?
Adrian, you know you love me. You ready for this? Hi, buddy. How you doing? You ready for this? I'm ready for this.
This is Over the Top with Adrian Starr, and I'm joined by the
Max Mullet.
him.
Yeah.
So apparently he's brought a presentation on beautiful
Beautiful hair. Beautiful
mullets.
hair. Beautiful hair. You want to look at the first picture here?
What is that?
That's the Friday night special right there. You know, you got nice up curve and shaved sides. That's beautiful. That's a dance move right there. That's a dance move without even moving. See the hair just flowing?
We're gonna call this one the El Guapo.
El Guapo? Okay, we'll go for that. There we go. There we go. What you think of that one? I can see you with that.
No,
Yeah,
you can't. You
I
can never
see
see me with that. Because
I can
that
see
look.
it.
What is that?
What?
What?
That man right there, he is. The women go they go crazy for that hair.
Oh, they go crazy for that.
Oh, they go
That
crazy
hair.
for the hair.
That hair right there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right there.
Right there.
That
Now,
hair.
that's a shorter back. You know, he's more conservative.
That's more conservative.
That's conservative.
That right there.
That's conservative. That is conservative. But it's nice swoop in the front. I give that a good 9 out of 10.
He looks like Billy Ray Little Pump. Like what the?
You got a problem with Billy Ray?
Go to the next picture.
All right, next picture. Oh, this is a special one right here. This is called the Skullet. You never heard of the Skullet? Perfectly shaved top, flowing back. That's just beautiful. Beautiful.
I know Buddhist monks who would be very upset by this.
You know Buddhist monks?
Yes.
All right,
yes.
really? All right.
I'm a man of calm, but today is a very trying day.
All right. Breathe in, breathe out. All right, let's go to the next picture, sir. Oh, wow. That's an idol right there.
That Patrick Swayze?
That's Patrick Swayze.
That's Patrick Swayze.
That's Patrick Swayze.
That's Patrick Swayze.
See, celebrities love the mullet.
So
Yeah.
his kicks
Follow
were
that
powerful because of his mullet? Is that what you're saying?
Hell yeah,
Really?
you seen Roadhouse? Roadhouse is great. Man. That's one of my favorite movies.
Hey, well, next picture, please.
Oh, this is great. I can see it right there. Alright. That you just saw every time he hit that ball, that hair just it flew. That give that ball 5 more miles an hour. It did. It did.
Next picture, please. The fuck? Who did?
We're multicultural.
No.
Multicultural.
The
I'll tell you.
barber who did this haircut,
It's beautiful.
that's a hate crime.
That is not a hate crime. That right there, he knew the style. Could you imagine him if he was doing karate or something like that? That hair be flipping around. Hell, he could use the weapon. Whack! There you go. Whack! That's like a third arm.
Go to the next picture.
The next picture. See, I did tell you.
I saw her to scare me one time.
I did tell you we were multicultural.
Yeah. Where,
Yes.
did the mullet eat her eyebrows too?
That part we have nothing to do with. So right there, you got a nice flow in the back, over the shoulder.
On which sides? It looked like Stevie Wonder did her hair.
Well, you know, she's going for the abstract look.
That haircut is very superstitious. You understand it, right?
Well, yeah, Stevie Wonder. We like Stevie would look good in a
No.
mullet. Yeah.
No. Not Stevie.
Yeah, Stevie would look good.
That's child abuse.
That is not child abuse.
That is child abuse.
They are
that
growing
right there
him up
is child
to be
abuse.
a good young man right there.
That haircut.
Strap sides. He's gone. That's patriotic with strap sides. Strap sides.
That's patriotic.
That's patriotic.
That's patriotic.
George Washington had a mullet. You didn't know that? Wooden teeth and a good old mullet. You're getting a twitch.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting a twitch.
Next.
Kind of scary.
Is that Jeffrey Dahmer?
No. Dahmer didn't have a mullet.
Sure.
I'm sure.
If I had a mullet, I'd kill people.
Would you?
Mm-hmm.
You look like you kill people now. So right now, I'm saying that's got a nice bushy back. He's got the curly back. That's the curl.
So it's like a flock of seagulls mullet.
That would have more of a poof on the top. But yeah, that's you're getting close.
I am calm. I am at peace with myself. I am centered. Next picture, please.
Another conservative one, shorter in the back, nice trim on the top, shaved sides.
How?
How?
Is any of that considered conservative? Please explain.
Well, see, mine's more, on the radical side. I've gone for the more rocker look. I've gone for the more conservative. We're not going to... That there's a good man. Good man.
Mm-hmm.
Good man.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what do we have next? What?
That's what I was thinking for you. I was thinking that one perfectly for you.
You mother... Sorry about that, folks. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. But don't worry. On the show. Here we go. That haircut dropped that kid's IQ by 10 points. Automatically. You can't convince me that because of that haircut, Andre Agassi went bald. That mullet ate his hair. I know it did. You can't tell me different. I'm sorry. Is he a hip hop artist or is he like a country star? It's like you mix them together. Like he is so confused. So confused. I still think that haircut's El Camino. Honestly, it looks like an El Camino. Olay. I got no words for this one. I got no words for this one. Like I've probably seen her in the alley somewhere. It really looks like Stevie Wonder was like, "Come on, baby, I got you. Come, baby, I got you. How you want it done? You finished. What the?" So these have been all the great mullets. Even Patrick Swayze. That mullet's what killed him. Now, to all the barbers who are doing this to people, you should be brought up on assault charges and child endangerment. I'll find you. But before you go, bless Bless your heart. Bless your heart.
You know, one thing that you... Well, where's Mullet for all the work? Where did
Everybody asks, I've been with you guys all day.
Wait, what?
I've been with you guys all day.
You've been with us all day?
I've been with you guys all day.
Yeah, you have, but so has the master.
I've been with you guys. I haven't seen him. I don't know who you're talking about.
But we saw the whole...
I have no idea who you're talking about.
You know, one thing that brings to mind when you were doing the mullet was...
I don't know what that is.
You are really just using plausible deniability right now.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I know. I think you kind of do.
Yeah, no idea.
Yeah, you kind of do.
I've been here all day.
But let me ask you something. I mean, all the kidding aside, I mean, at the time, the mullet was a huge it was a huge haircut in its day.
Yeah.
I mean, did you gain any any love for the haircut while doing this? No.
Absolutely not.
No. Oh.
No. But before we go into your rating for the over the top of how many Stallones you get, the mullet was prevalent in professional wrestling for years. Shawn Michaels, Diesel, Razor Ramon, but the best mullet of them all was worn by beautiful Bobby Eaton.
Don't forget the 1, 2, 3 kid. He had a mullet.
He did, but it wasn't as beautiful as Bobby Eaton.
Of course not. No, it was flowing and luxurious.
And
so you like that mullet?
No, I don't.
What? Well, how many Stallones?
You were taking a sweet moment and just driving it into the ground right now.
We would never do that.
Beautiful Bobby Eaton and all fans of the Midnight Express, we send our heartfelt feelings out to you. We're saddened and depressed. I loved booing Bobby Eaton. I don't know how you guys felt.
Yeah.
But all that being aside, how many are you going to give the mullet this? Or is it more just a
That's more that's not really Stallone there. Stallone was more that's sort of I don't know what that is.
None.
None?
The zero Stallones. Yeah. So we're not over the top at all with that one.
No, so
that's very underwhelming.
Okay.
Absolutely underwhelming.
What about that chick, the one with the no eyebrow and everything?
Yeah, what was going on there?
No. You still...
Drugs are a terrible thing, children.
Oh. Yeah,
we'll let LarMan discuss that.
Wait, who?
Yeah, that's a good point. You know,
he's here.
No, he's not here. It's me. It's.
Then why would you even bring him up? Last time he was here, I got really sick.
Oh, we'll talk about that later.
That was sort of your own fault. But in any case, we want to thank the Masked Mullet for his participation
no idea what that is.
In the over the top with Adrian segment.
I would have really liked to say goodbye to him.
I'm sure we'll see Mullet again in the future. Anyway,
not that I know of.
Good Lord. Well, you know, folks, we've got a lot of things coming up here and that are happening, and we're going to be experiencing. We want to discuss them a little bit. Now, I can tell you that in the future, we're going to be introducing podcasts here in the future where we can go into a lot longer format. But that doesn't mean that in between then and now, we wouldn't want to take on some things that are in the news that are interesting topics. And that's what we're going to do right now with a little segment we call In the News. That's right, folks. We're going to talk about a line of robot toys from 1984. Max Steel and the RoboForce. No, I didn't mean Transformers. I meant these guys. And I'm not certain. You guys are a little bit younger than I am, and you really did have to be a certain age to remember this line because although it had a huge launch in 1984, it was more like a failure to launch, and by 1985 was gone. Do you remember these guys at all?
I am not familiar with this toy line at all because you said by 85 it was.
You would have been what, 2? I think at that point.
85? No, I would have been 3, 4, somewhere in there. But at the same time, you also have to look at the Transformers was out, GoBots was out. Voltron was still very, very prevalent. Robotech, anything that had a robot to deal with it. RoboCop was right around the corner. And then you can see how RoboForce kind of
Well, here's the funny thing
got
about
caught
this.
under the wire.
This has a really odd story. In the sense that
There's an actual story with this?
there's a story behind. Well, not only was there a story for the toy, but there's actually a story behind the creation of it. This is
Were drugs involved?
well, probably given the era, but in the early '80s, at the time this was conceived of, the top toy line was Masters of the Universe.
Yes.
Right.
So it was the top toy in the world. They were making tons of money, cartoon, etc., etc. CBS decides to get in on the action. They buy Ideal, which is a toy company,
Okay.
and then go through the process of creating this toy line. Notice the figures are about 5 inches tall. They're very similar in terms of articulation to the Masters of the Universe line. They have a little action feature.
Oh, look at that!
Instead of a punch, the arms move or whatever.
Was he clapping?
Well, I think they called it a mighty grip or something like that. He also had a suction cup. Easy. He had a suction cup on the base. This one could squirt water out of his little nose there.
Does he say Danger Will Robinson at all?
He doesn't, but he may have. I don't know. This particular character, Blazer, was known for playing the saxophone. Apparently.
Wait, what?
How?
I don't ask me. I'm telling you from the comics that were in the box with the toys. This, of course, is Max Steel himself, the leader of the RoboForce, your heroic leader, and he was faced against Hun Dredd, the Conqueror, who was leading the cult of Dread, and they had a little story that didn't make a whole lot of sense. But
looking at the Power Crusher arms on the side of the graphic of this box,
Yes.
this box is in amazing condition.
considering it's almost 40 years old.
Considering it's almost 40 years
What?
old.
Yeah.
It's drawing a lot of conclusion to the Nintendo. Do you remember Nintendo?
Oh, yeah.
How you could
Yeah,
play
yeah,
Nintendo with the robot. So I'm curious.
This, of course, predates that by a few years.
I'm curious if we could get a close up on
I'm sure we
here,
can. Yeah.
You'll understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, but the thing about this was that they had a really good plan. They had a story, they had a cartoon, they had the toys, they had everything planned out. And of course, CBS's idea was that because everything was under one roof, you could lower production cost, increase profitability, and they were going to crush Masters. Yeah, they were going to crush Masters of the Universe. Except, and when they went to 1984 and they went to Toy Fair, there was another robot toy line that debuted in '84 that.
GoBots.
No, not that one.
I am Optimus Prime.
Yes, indeed. It was Transformers that absolutely destroyed these guys. Of course, you really couldn't compare, this with the ability to transform from a plane to a robot.
Not for nothing, but if you're passing and you see something that can turn into a jet or a truck or a Jeep or a gun, and then you go to the next booth and you see something that looks almost similar to a garbage can, what would you rather play with?
Well,
I'm going to play with the truck.
I remember hearing a story at the time from Hasbro that one of the things that enabled them to really sell Transformers was the fact that when the vendors came to Toy Fair, they were looking at them saying, look at the playability of this toy. You have two toys in one. Mm-hmm. The child can play with it as a vehicle toy, or they can play with it as a robot. Oh, and by the way, it's also a puzzle toy because they have to solve how to get it from here to here. And that multiple forms of ways to play with it really sold the item and absolutely blew away the competition at Toy Fair that year.
I still need to use the directions to assemble the robot out of the vehicle, or vice versa, because of how complex and how intricate all the pieces are.
And that was the thing. And RoboForce, although a reasonable idea, and I love them. I actually have a full set of the figures at home. I've got a few in the box. I've got the vehicles. I've got the play sets. I have the whole 9 yards, the whole kit and caboodle. But unfortunately, it failed to really launch. And by '85, although they had a second wave planned, it got canceled, and that was that. Fast forward to just a few years back, and a very small toy company known as Toyfinity bought the license to RoboForce and a few of the other Ideal toy lines from the era and created these little guys. These are the last two that they issued only maybe 2 months ago. This is they're in what they call a building system, which should interest you, known as Glyos. And
I'm very familiar with that builder.
So they come in pieces and you put them together. This, of course, is Vulgar, we'll sit him there, and this is the version of Blazer. So now you have the modern version and the original version of Blazer side by side. But the reason we wanted to talk about this today, although we've given you all that history, is not...
1 second before you do that, because it works with the Glyos building blocks, that means you could, forgive me for that, that means you could take this piece off and put it on that piece,
Yes.
and take his arms and put them on here, so now you can mix and match the characters.
Yes.
Which makes it more interesting.
Yeah, you can do a lot with them.
Which is not something that the previous toy line offered.
Right, and I have a reasonable number of these guys. I have all of the versions of the original run of toys,
And they're not
plus a
stuck
few
to
extra.
the ground anymore. You can actually move
No,
them.
they don't do the suction bit. Although I will tell you, I would love to do a deep dive on this toy line at some point for the show, because I still say that the small vehicles that came with these guys that you could get, the Robo Cruiser being one of them, had a really cool feature whereby everything in the line worked on air, whether it was a suction or the air blowing into the arms to get them to move.
Oh, that's neat.
And the thing that the vehicle did, the small vehicles, they each came with what was called an airbot. And you would plug the airbot into the fuel line, and there was a balloon in there, and when you used the airbot to inflate the balloon, it would compress a plate that was in there completing the circuit and cause the engine to go, and all of a sudden the vehicle would just take off.
Oh, that's neat.
Until the balloon deflated and it would stop. It was a really cool play feature, and I have 2 or 3 of the vehicles at home. They were just really ahead of its time. It was a really, really neat idea and a really good concept. It's a shame it didn't work. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is because a very small article appeared recently, and let me see if I can get a date on this, June the 11th. Nacelle Company. Do you guys know who this is?
Yes.
Okay, so Nacelle Company, for those that may not know, is the company that created the Toys That Made Us show on Netflix. They reached out to Toyfinity and acquired the rights to RoboForce. And an article has come out regarding this. It's commissioned a script, and they plan to start producing toys, books, and branded merchandise in the latter part of this year or the early part of next year regarding the RoboForce. Now, this brings up a very huge question to me, because they go on, and there's one of the head people in charge here is quoted as saying, we've looked at the original toy line, we know why it failed, etc., and we think, with all under one roof, a production company and a toy, boy, does this sound familiar from the early story, that we're going to do it now, and we're going to do it well, and we're going to sell this. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, will they? Or will they go right down the same hole and make the same mistake? Because let's be realistic, they are still up against Transformers.
Yep.
That is still the preeminent robot toy line.
Now they're going with another...
And it won't be these. It will not be this. They are going completely...
Well, see, that's the thing. And then they just shot themselves in the foot, because this gimmick with the interchangeable parts, that's really cool. The problem with that is now they're trying to compete with Lego in their market because of the interchangeable parts and being able to build something.
And don't forget the fact that they also still, even if they would go more retro, they're still competing against Transformers and Masters of the Universe.
And let's not forget Gundam.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Gundam is huge now.
Absolutely.
Well, and let's look at the other Minecraft. Not familiar with Minecraft as I should be, because it's out of my wheelhouse. But again, another block system.
They have their own line of toys that are coming out. If all the viewers, you've got small children, I'm pretty sure you've got kids who sit there and zombie out playing Minecraft. I know. I suffer from the same thing.
But who is this going to be for? That's the main question.
I really don't know.
Who is this toy going to be for?
I don't know. You would have to assume that based on who's creating it, they have the retro collector fan in mind.
Right.
But RoboForce is not there's not an enormous collector's market for it.
It's not a big
I mean,
market.
these figures generally run between $30 and $40 in a box like this, even all these years on. So it's not a real high-end property. So I don't really know. And although these guys did fairly well for Toyfinity is a very small company. They're dealing in very small numbers. This is a huge opportunity for Nacelle, I think. But
Is this really the property they should be going for?
Well, and that was sort of the question I had.
That's the million-dollar question.
I was sort of... It said... The article does say that there's other brands that they've acquired, but this is the only one that they were willing to say that they had acquired.
Oh.
So I don't know what else they acquired. My hope is that... if I have to hope that they bought one, I hope they bought Inhumanoids, because I would love to see that line make a
Or
return.
Centurions.
That would be another good one to see return.
This reminds me of Centurions, where you get to swap out the pieces and
to suggest that they won't continue with this. I mean, imagine if they actually combined these two lines, where you had the size of the original ones with a mix and match component of this. And let's go down your rabbit hole. If they did acquire Centurions and make it part of the same multiverse or whatever, you could really accomplish a lot with that. That would be very, very interesting. I don't know what to make of this, guys. Maybe you will. Are they going down the same rabbit hole and they're going to make the same mistake and fail that this just can't compete against Transformers? Or do they have the secret and do they know what's going to happen and are they going to bring out a line that's going to work?
I would have preferred that we saw a new Mask line come out, because Mask is taking a vehicle, turning it into something else, and then you've got G.I. Joe-sized characters playing around with it. But I hope for the best. This does not interest me. It just really doesn't. I mean, if you pick them up, they're hardy characters.
Yeah, these guys are heavier than the original ones. They're solid.
Playing with that, they'd be a concussion or two.
Yeah, they're a solid toy.
Throw that at your sister.
Yeah.
No. Why would you do
or
that?
Your brother, because they're kids.
I think that's what caused the mullet.
Beyond good, beyond evil, beyond your wildest imagination. Those of you that know that phrase know what we're talking about. We are talking about Transformers the movie, the original cartoon. It has been re-released for its 35th anniversary, this time in super duper high def and in a little metal box here.
The year was 2005.
Yes, the far distant future of 2005. Comes with the discs. You got Hot Rod, who nobody likes on there. And then you have, I thought the image on the second disc was pretty cool, if I can get that one off.
The image
of the little, at the beginning where the opening credits are rolling, you go through that little tube there.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that pretty cool? I actually thought, they put a lot of thought into that. I thought that was neat.
No.
And the beautiful image on the inside, there's Unicron floating in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I really like that. And let's see. I didn't even open this to see what this is. Let's see what we got. Oh, look at this! We got little. We got like lobby cards here or something.
Nice.
Images from the movie.
We got postcards.
There we go. Absolutely. Got 4 of these. They're pretty neat.
Why do I have in the bag?
Well, I mean.
Wait, what were you trying to say?
No, nothing. I didn't say anything.
Well, they didn't have Grimlock, or I'd be holding Grimlock. Instead, I'm holding Optimus and Hot Rod.
that loser. Yeah. It could be worse. You could be holding Wheelie.
Don't you wanted to say that name while I was holding those cards.
I mean,
you're lucky that they made it back in the envelope.
that's probably true. But what the reason I'm pointing this out is for twofold.
Megatron.
This is not and Fathom Events. Now you and I are familiar with Fathom Events, and I'm hoping some of the folks out there are. Fathom Events is a company that basically brings movies back to the movie theater for you to experience, and because it's the 35th anniversary, and of course I'm sure as an advertisement pushing this, Fathom Events is in fact bringing Transformers the movie back to the movie theaters.
Nice.
For a limited engagement, Sunday, September the 26th. If you go to fathomevents.com, you can look for a theater in your area and buy tickets and go experience it. I think this is a great idea, especially if you have kids that are into Transformers. Take them to see the movie that damaged our childhood.
This was the first movie that I saw in movie theaters, and this was the first movie you and I saw in movie theaters together.
Yeah.
What you're looking at now is the genesis and the origins of 80s Allies.
Absolutely. We actually were the last. Fathom Events has done this before with this movie. It was
5 years ago.
I don't know if it was 5 years ago. It was right about the time they were going to do the Bumblebee movie because it was an advertisement for that.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but they brought that out, and we went to see it, and I'll never forget. There was this guy a few rows behind us who had his kid there, and the kid asked what year this had come out, and he said, And the father said, I think it was 1985, and very incredulously.
No, hang on. That's a different story. You're screwing up the story.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Because the story that you're talking about, we go and we buy our tickets, right? We're standing in line, we're buying our tickets. And there's a guy standing behind us. And he goes, oh, what are you buying tickets for that? Is 85? And he and I turn to that guy like a couple of swinging doors on a saloon and shout, 86!
Yeah.
And the guy looks at us like we're possessed by some demon.
We didn't mean for it to come out quite that way.
No, but we shouted at the guy. Now, the story you're telling is there was a kid sitting behind his dad, and it was right after Optimus Prime.
Oh, yeah, I combined two stories, yes.
Severely injured. And we're sitting there, and we look over at that child, and we all of a sudden go, time to become a man and grow up.
Yes, another generation ruined. Because you can see the kid was devastated by the death of Optimus Prime.
Yeah. So as soon as Optimus Prime turns black, the kid gets really sad, and we're like, we feel you.
The funny thing was
funny
thing was the father leaning over to him and whispering, "Don't worry, he comes back."
Yeah.
That was really
But
cute.
the entire time we were in there, it was like a love fest. People were shouting things at the movie that was hilarious and not impertinent. Like when Wheelie came out, I got to say the line, well, of course, even this 80s cartoon needed a high-pitched sidekick.
Yes.
And the room erupted, and it's a great time. If you get a chance to go, you're going to be sitting amongst some wonderful people having a good time, there for the nostalgia, because everybody in that room must have seen this movie at least 100 times.
Yeah, and it's definitely, and this goes for any of the things that Fathom Events does. If you go after the fandom stuff, you're always going to have a good time. I've done several of them over the years, and I'm sure I'll do several more. So check that out, and if you get a chance or if you need a copy, these are back in the store. Go get them before they're gone. And with that, I think we've come to the close of another show.
Oh, wonderful.
I think we have. You know, the only question I have is, we still haven't seen Mullet.
We haven't. We haven't at all.
I don't know who you guys are referring to. I've been here with you all day.
Well, but not when the segment was going on.
I was by myself.
You weren't. No, he was there.
We want to thank our artist, Jim LaPlante. Information's still back down there. We want to thank Colby Dove for the release of that wonderful song. I got to see it live last week. It's phenomenal. Thank you so much for watching. And I need to go give somebody a call.
Yeah, I think you do. Because don't we need another PSA?
We do need another PSA.
Oh, we need another PSA. PSA about what?
See you next time, allies.
What?
Drink water.
What? Yeah, I mean, yeah. What's going on here?
In a world where people leave their animals in cars on a hot day,
somebody needs public service announced.
Comes a man willing to stop it all. Ladies and gentlemen, it is LarMan, the public service announcement officer, and his assistant.
Hello, children! It is I, LarMan, your public service announcement officer, standing here with my assistant, Adrian.
I'm not your assistant.
How are you doing today, Adrian?
I'm fantastic. I'm trying to go home. Why are you here? What is up with masked men interrupting me today?
Well, I want to know is what happened to Masked Mullet? The reason why we're asking this today is you should not leave animals in your car on a hot day.
Absolutely, children. You should not leave animals in the car on a hot day.
Well,
period.
then, I have a question for you. Why did this happen? Mullet! Are you okay?
How did you get in there?
I will be.
Guy?
I need some water. Water, please.
Buddy, what happened?
Adrian?
I don't know how he got in here, but you know, it's fine. He's okay. No problem. He's fine. He's absolutely fine.
I have your keys.
What are you doing with my keys? Oh my God. Why? Why me? Why me? I just want to go in here and get my damn keys. And I don't want to...
check back up on them in an hour. Now you see, Mass Mullet, one of the reasons why you don't leave animals in your car is they could get sick, they could dehydrate. Speaking of which, would you like some?
I'm good right now, thank you. I got that water from you earlier.
So you did hydrate.
I hydrated.
It is very important to hydrate on a hot day, children, because what we're going to run into is you're going to have a sick, dehydrated animal, and it could be possibly bad or lethal. Much like my assistant Adrian in here. How you doing in there, Adrian?
He looks a little sweaty.
Ah, he'll be fine. We'll let him out later. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been LarMan.
Outside with sticks and dirt till the sun fell from the sky. But knowing half the battle made us more than meets the eye. It was dangerous to go alone unless you had a wooden sword. The only selfies that we took were made with Polaroid. Time will come and time will go. The years will pass us by. Think about it, it always makes me smile. You might think the decade you grew up in was the greatest. There was nothing better than growing up as a kid.